my deal. If these guys know how to manage people and they know how to handle one or two major situations per game, they're probably a good manager nowadays, right?
Am I tripping because I feel like baseball managers are just like sleeping on the job? They're like, I always thought of baseball managers like grandpas who, you know how like when you send your kids, like you send your kids to grandparents, the kids really like it because grandparents are like, whatever. Like I raised my kids, they didn't
Yes.
die. You're not gonna die either.
I think that's pretty much what Tito was. Yes.
Okay. Like I think the best ones are always
The
the
best
ones
one.
that they're just sitting back, kind of like Tom Hanks on League of Their Own, like
Yes.
half drunk, half sleep.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then when it's winning time and you start
Correct.
playing with the bullpen and shit, then the manager's supposed to wake up and be like, scratch himself, do a couple signs, and settle
That's
the
what the good,
settle the club.
yes, that's what the people who are in tune with the game pretty much say, because those guys like, I don't know, boomers, man. Boomers like the locker room door slamming dudes. That's not for me. It
Well,
wasn't when I was a kid. It definitely isn't now. I don't think it's effective. Uh, maybe it was at one point. My belief was always that those dudes back then just tolerated people like that, and
right.
they were good, anyways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just
Like, do you think Bob Gibson needed a guy to act like an asshole in the locker room, or was he just an intense son of a bitch who was going to throw the ball at your head anyways? Do you know what I'm saying?
right.
Like, do you like, and then do you think like a guy who was just kind of like a happy-go-lucky dude like Mickey Mantle was who he was? Like, do you think he needed like an intense motherfucker
No,
like that, or do you think
them dudes were literally drunk in the
right,
dugout. So like
right,
here's my whole
yes,
thing on it, and then I don't know how we're talking baseball in the middle of winter. Probably because that damn hat.
it's
But
because of the hat. We could probably get started right now if you
that's all
want.
good. So I fell in love with baseball with Grover, right?
Yeah, yes,
And our arch
sure.
nemesis at the
Too.
time, because they were on the same timeline as us growing, was Lou Pinella's Seattle Mariners. You know what I'm saying?
I thought the same thing. That's
You know,
exactly right.
like both of them were grandpas even then, like it was like
Right. Yep.
both of them were just settled and chill. Like when you
Yes.
like for me, we talked on the last episode about me hanging with my grandpa. It was like the safe place because like, my parents were a little bit more high strung, but they were also paying attention to what I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
My
Yeah.
grandpa was like, I don't care. You're not gonna die. Like you're cool. What it doesn't matter. Yeah, come watch these black exploitation
Yeah.
movies. You might even see a boob and it's okay. Just don't tell your
I listened to
parents.
you. I listened to that, by the way.
What's that?
I listened to your album, by the way. When people recommend music, I always listen to
Yeah,
it.
me too. I appreciate you for that. Now, all jokes
You
aside,
have to.
you sent me these comedy things this morning. I was sitting over here cracking
Did
up.
you watch them?
Yeah. But so that's what I think of when I think of successful baseball managers.
Same here.
Grandpas. Dusty Baker just retired. I got sad because I was like, wait, he had another couple years to be somebody's grandpa. Like he was
Yes. That's pretty much, I agree with that 100%.
Ron Washington. Like these old ass dudes. Like
Oh my God. Ron Washington. Holy shit.
they just grab what's his name that was in Detroit? Lehman. What's his name? Jim
Leland.
Yeah, the dude who
He
stole our
was with the
World
fucking
Series.
Marlins that beat us. Yeah.
Jesus. So don't bring me no fucking Craig Counsell at 30 years old. He's probably gonna get a DUI or something.
They like the young guys now, though. They do like the young guys now. That's the thing. I don't know who started that in which sport.
The problem I have with that
Cash.
gig, yeah, the
Cashman
Boston Red
started it
Sox. Yep.
in GM and the GMs. Yeah.
But then he left and went to the Cubs, like Epstein. So here's my problem.
Epstein. Yeah.
Yeah, those young dudes, they still want to like they can't help it. Like when they see a
They
bad
want to
bitch,
mess around.
that like they see something go by, they're like, I can get that still. The old dudes are
I
like,
do it too. Yeah.
it doesn't work. I'm not gonna take the pill. Like whatever, go in there and cook me something or not. I'm gonna be here.
We can't help. Like, you got to get your hands and stuff and like adjust. Or at least that's how I am. Like, every time I see something, I want to keep making changes.
We can't help it. Like we still feel like so. Okay, I don't want to transition in. Like I'm happy. Did you watch the game last night?
Of course. Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
let's do our kickoff because man, The problem is that we actually like each other. So sometimes on these shows, like you'll see people, they're on there and they're like, oh, I got to get this half hour done and we got to go through
Mm,
this item, this item, this item, and then fuck this guy.
mm,
I'm like,
right.
when we connect, we have 2 or 3 hour conversations. And I'm like, shit,
Right.
Jay,
We're gonna
I
groove.
gotta
Yeah.
make it an hour. So let's
Yeah.
try to do that today.
Okay.
And then we'll do like a
Keep it
rubber
tight.
rim job after dark if you got time. But let's all
Of
right.
course. I always make sure that I pick a time where we got some extra time.
Oh, you just perfectly talked over Joe Tate. And
Go ahead. Go ahead.
last episode, I didn't play the Joe Tate, and I was like, "Oh no, this episode." Do you know that's been our worst number so far? Like I feel like I
The
jinxed
last
it.
one?
Yeah, because
No, you know what though?
I was on the road.
I also forgot to send the damn thing out.
Okay, I was on the road. I think I was
Could
in
have something
Vegas.
to do with it. Could have something to do with it. I forgot to send it out until yesterday, so the numbers are going up a little bit. But
Yeah, no, they are. All right, let's get our sign in.
let's roll.
It's basketball time at the
Rubber Rim Job, Season 3, Episode 4. We got their ass last night, Jig.
We got him. We got him. Back to back.
We bullied. What did DeMar Cousins say? No, not
Bully the
DeMar.
bully.
Yeah, Zach Randolph. Where I'm from, bullies get bullied.
Bully the bully.
So we've been, for about 4 months, all of us collectively on the board have been like, biting our lips and, like twitching our thumbs. Like, man, when we see those Knicks again, man, they like, we built a brand new bully for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew that the minivan, George Niang, and good old trusted Tristan THUMPson was going to come in and bully the bully for us?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was happy. Were you happy watching that game last night?
I was happy. I was getting a little bit nervous at the beginning, seeing it be all Donovan.
Right.
You never like to see us going back to, at least I don't like to see us going back to LeBron mode with one guy, just because it doesn't feel sustainable, at least at this point. So when they came out for the second half, and it was all like they were spreading it out, and we played the Knicks game.
Right.
And which is, hey, I like that game. I've said it before. I'm into that game. That's the game I came up watching. We came up watching. I'm a fan of the game. I like the physical game.
Let's play rough.
I love that game. I'm into it. I can't remember what his name is. Cab Fever or whatever his name is. I like busting that guy's balls and talking about. I want to see guys get punched in the face. I love that.
Yeah. The first thing that popped in my head was Al Pacino Scarface, of course. So
I love taking that conversation to another level because, of course, we don't want that. But I like seeing guys play physical, okay?
Yes, sir.
And what I really like is that we changed something up, all right? We saw JBB running these guys off the three-point line. We made a change, man.
I don't want to interrupt your soliloquy.
I stopped. No, I stopped. I'm done. Your turn.
And so I've been trying on the board. I've been like, I'm so what you just now said about a young manager who's still trying to perfect things. I'm young, man. I'm 40. I'm the same age as Craig Counsell or Theo Epstein and all those guys. I'm a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same age as JBB. Mm-hmm. Since this season started, I've been like, yo, I see growth from this guy. Like, I'm telling you, we're turning the page. Like this guy is growing up. Like, he's showing growth. Look at this pace and everything like that. I hop on the board yesterday. I'm happy. Even though we lost to the Knicks, I'm not melting. You know what I think happened, Jig?
What?
Boobs return. Welcome back, Boobs. Oh, not that one.
Great time.
Transition.
Out to Booby. Free ball. Got it.
There we go. All right. If I can memorize these. If you're a friend of the pod and you actually call in consistently, you get your own soundboard.
Out to Booby. Free ball. Got it.
So, like, this is for all those guys out there. And we're still in negotiations with a RCF vet who's getting ready to come on board for our Thursdays and stuff like that. But then also for you, Randolph Keys, and some of you vets that are out there, Ben, everybody, you want your own soundboard like Boobs has, your own sound over here, get your ass on the show. But so Boobs returns from wherever he was at, doing whatever he was doing, and he melts after that Knicks game. Violence and purpose, his boobs, like he just came in and started setting fire to shit on the board. And I appreciate him because like I know that he's he probably, I don't know, maybe take a shot or two during the game. But when the game is over, like he's got a bleeding heart, right? There's always been guys on the boards like that. Like it's like let the guy vent a little bit. Like
Of course.
in the morning he's gonna be like, all right, I'm sorry, JBB, or I'm sorry, whoever I spaz out on, kind of thing. But anyway, I started this to say I kind of got lumped in with his thing because I was actually happy after the Knicks loss. I was okay. Like I was like, whatever. I know what's happening here. Like we're missing like 10 guys and we're walking wounded. It was a fight. Whatever. We're good. And so I hop on the board and I'm like, I'm happy, still happy. JBB, I'm singing his praises. However, I would like to adjust this with the rotation. No more Donovan at point guard. No more Evan. Dude, that Simpsons thing where they come with the pitchforks.
Yes.
What the hell just happened? Like I'm standing there looking like Childish Gambino on that GIF where the whole thing is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait a minute, how'd this happen? I was literally just giving the guy a compliment and saying, as a young manager, can we get this even better? But I'm happy. I was happy after the loss. I was super happy after the win because Tristan is moving guys around, which is, I don't know if you saw me on the board right after we signed him, but I projected that Tristan THUMPson was going to be a valuable pickup. I think by the end of the year,
man,
he's going to have Evan Mobley drinking beers at his locker. He's going to have like, you got a little fuzz going on right there. Like you got the whole shadow kind of thing that's coming in. Evan Mobley's going to start growing a beard as a result of Tristan THUMPson.
He's going to be a man.
I think he's going to let his nuts drop. And you saw that last night. Tristan went straight, like as soon as he checked in, he went straight for Mitchell Robinson's gut. Like
yes, he did.
A single thing happened where Tristan THUMPson didn't find a way to get in his gut. Like it was like, you saw Mitchell Robinson like, dude, we're not even chasing a rebound right now. Why are you in my gut? And Tristan was like, doesn't matter. I'm gonna put up a triple-double, and one of those parts of the triple-double is gonna be 10 elbows to your gut. You know what I'm saying? I love it. Welcome back, TT. Like somehow or the other, we got to title this episode something to do with
Big
Tristan.
Plays. Big plays, man.
Gotta be.
Very exciting to see him back. It's clear that he's going to have an impact during the regular season. Yeah. But man, especially if we hit the Knicks again in the playoffs, this dude's going to have an impact all season long. Just got to have him stay healthy, which I want to say historically he has, hasn't he?
Yeah, Tristan's been healthy. Tristan's been.
Or am I?
Now that he's an old man on the team, hopefully and maybe he's going to slow down with his off the court forays and stuff. Because he was always, he was always an Iron Man. Like he was like our Michael Cage or our Cal Ripken Jr. Remember, he didn't miss a game,
right?
Which was pissing me off because I was like, I want to see what the floor looks like without him in the middle with that ugly hook
clogging
shot.
it up. Yeah.
It was like
the man made some big plays,
dude. Like now that he's back, I'm so happy. I'm like, all right, we're at a happy place, and I'm telling you. For one of the next couple episodes, he's going to be back there. And when he makes his way in here, his bobblehead, he's going to get introduced on the show. Because I couldn't be happier with Tristan. And games like last night are exactly what I was hoping for. So,
speaking of a happy place, I want to talk. I want to hop off of basketball real quick. We'll do a little bit of a transition city here. Transition city.
Yeah.
And hit my album recommendation.
Sorry, Jig. We breezed right by it.
It's okay. That's okay.
This is like my favorite part of the show. Jig brings it every time. I don't mean to put pressure on you, but don't mess this up. You're hitting like 3 or 4 for 4 on these album recommendations.
I'm about to go 5 for 5, baby.
All right.
And we're gonna go back to a time when things were very physical. As we'd mentioned before, a time when ball was a little bit different. If you remember waking up in the middle of the night after a nice physical, maybe Bulls on Knicks, maybe Bulls on Pacers, didn't matter.
Right.
But let's say you woke up in the middle of the night in 1994
Okay.
You've been sleeping. Could have been Christmas time. Could have been any time of the year. You might have woken up to an album called Pure Moods with songs such as
Pure
Return to Innocence by Enigma or The Orinoco Flow by Enya, or even such songs as Chariots of Fire by Vangelis, which is that na 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 na, one of my favorite albums of all time, or Songbird
They
by
use it in
Kenny
so
G.
many. They use it on so many movies in the late '90s.
They
That
do.
music
They do.
right at the end when
That
they're getting ready to
album,
cross the finish line
that's
or they're
right.
getting ready. Okay, they're racing in the
That's
kitchen to
right.
go grab a cupcake or something.
That's exactly right. But my favorite on the entire album
Okay.
will always be The Return to Innocence by Enigma. It's that return to innocence. It's I can't say it's on every one of my playlists, but it's on some of them. Just because whenever it pops up, it reminds me of this movie that I watched called Man of the House with Jonathan Taylor Thomas. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And one of my buddies just had an inside joke. It doesn't make any sense. It's an inside joke about that song, Return to Innocence. And it reminds me, just a lot of memories flash through my mind.
I'm telling you.
With that song about that album. And if you are a 90s kid, you'll know what I'm talking about right now.
I feel like when you just sang it, like when you just unleashed the golden pipes, it almost came back to me. If you do that one more time, I think it might. Yeah, get a sip. Give us your
The Return to Innocence. You don't remember it?
I promise you, Jig.
Pull it up. If you pull it up,
you just pulled out some Tone
you will
Ranger.
definitely remember Enigma. And then Orinoco Flow by Enya is that sail away, sail away,
I love that
sail
song.
away.
I didn't know who
sail
that was.
Away, sail away, sail away. It's Enya. Enya actually has a bunch of bangers, man.
Okay.
And I use bangers very ironically because her songs are definitely that soft, like mood music. But Pure Moods was the first of a long series of like soft kind of new age music, like that Kenny G style, like relaxing weirdo, like your mom would be playing it while she was cleaning back in the 90s.
Dentist office.
And yeah, dentist, yeah, exactly. Love the album.
Okay.
Love that type of music. Super weirdo, like cult type of music. And that's really all I have to say about it. But I'd recommend Sadness was on it too by Enigma. It's the one where Dave Chappelle used it whenever he took the dump and was flying off the toilet.
Right.
If you remember on Chappelle's show.
I do.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That's sad. That's sadness.
So Pure Moods.
Pure Moods
is a compilation that includes all of these smooth watercolors type of music things.
And the music is weaved throughout society in all ironic situations, mainly because 90s babies remember listening to it. And you probably do too. You just don't realize it.
Totally do. No, because
you do.
You just named like 4 songs and I was like, I remember listening to those.
You know all the songs.
Yeah, we didn't have streaming back then, right? So you had to go get the CD or the tape. And
that's exactly right.
I would only hear Pure Moods whenever I walked into my dental appointment or
that's exactly right.
Whatever type of appointment I had, or if I was in somewhere they had like a wait, like
that's exactly right. You'd run into it.
I might have been in the assistant principal's office for looking up somebody's skirt or something, and it's like really low in the background on his little radio on the bookshelf.
Yes.
He's got it down to like a 5, like the volume. And you're like, wait, what is that? I hear it in the background. Is he going to call my parents? But that sounds really good. You know what I'm saying?
That music's going to connect you to a lot of other positive memories or negative memories from around that time.
I was bad, but okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get the principal's office part is bad. I mean, the skirt part, I guess it depends on what the
I
girl looked
sincerely
like.
got suspended for that, and they called my dad. He had to leave work.
Wow, you got caught, man.
Yeah. We're talking 94, 95. I was like 11 or 12, and her name was Kanika Gibson. Don't look her up. And he had to leave work. I was in
Well,
Akron.
she's 40 now.
I was in Akron. It was like noon. And so it was right around lunchtime. And he had to leave Cleveland and come all the way down to Akron to sign me out. And I just remember him looking at me like, dude, like, really? This is what we're doing?
Wow, you got caught. How'd you get
Puberty.
caught?
It was puberty, man.
But how'd you get caught? Did she saw you?
I think I was grabbing and touching and stuff. It was like,
Whoa, dude.
It was like me. No, whoa. I don't want to get in trouble here. Let me say, it was me and my dude. We were just being stupid, and she was like, hey, y'all, we're 11. It was like 6th, 7th grade, I think.
I know what you're talking about.
The hormones were raging, and Miss Reichman, my math teacher, she either caught her touching me back or she caught me touching her or something like that. And it was like, all right.
Oh, I see. So this was consensual but inappropriate.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry.
I see. I see.
They called her down to the office after Miss Reichman sent me and my dude down there. And she came in while my dad was there, and she was like, they didn't touch me. And you could tell that she was just like, why am I even being brought into this, kind of thing. So it was a whole drawn out thing. I probably should not be telling this story right now, but I think Pure Moods was playing in the background of my
or it should have been
of my assistant principal's office. This is totally off.
Or
track.
It was playing in your mind whenever this happened. This probably happened because Pure Moods was playing. This is definitely a if I was going to put any song to this, it would be The Sadness by Enigma. If that was playing and I was near, what was her name again? Was it Kenesha?
Yeah, Kenesha Gibson.
If I was near Kenesha Gibson and Sadness by Enigma would have come on, I don't think I could have kept my hands off of her.
Right. That's exactly what I mean. Same thing with like Careless Whispers. But I bet you it was I bet you it was the Kenny G song that do. That's probably what made this all happen. So Kenny G, thank you for getting me suspended. I think
we have to keep this on.
I was cut from the 7th grade basketball team because of that.
Are you for real?
Yeah, no, our head coach, Mr. Adams, he pulled your record. And if we had tryouts in November or December. We only had like 8 games that season. And he was telling me all year, Stevens, you are going to light up the city. Like when we put you out there, you in that range you got, I got a jumper. You are going to tear things up. Man, we did our tryouts and he pulled me aside and he was like, I have to cut you. You got suspended a couple weeks ago for touching some girl. Like you can't play on my team. I cried. I cried. I paid the price for Pure Moods putting me in the mood. So
that's a good one, dude.
Yeah, no, good call. Good call. I promise you, last week or last recording, I didn't listen to Yes until I caught my flight. Took a day.
You listened to it.
I did.
Good.
This day, as we get off this call, I'm jumping into Pure Moods because I need that right now.
You got to. I think it'll bring back a lot of hopefully more positive memories. In that, if you're gonna cry, it'll be more of a either laughter or a more positive cry. I tell you, Enya, great music.
Great music. That whole genre. The only person I really, really know is Kenny G. Everybody else is like faceless, but they're all great.
Yes.
Like they're really, really good, but you're just like, is it that person or is it like an entirely different?
Right. Well, yeah, they're all kind of nameless.
Yeah.
They're all those people are also kind of nameless to me.
It's kind of
well. Anyway, so that's what I got for you. That's what I got.
I appreciate
mostly ironic for you, but yeah, no, there's some actual good stuff on there. Enya actually does have some good music.
Are you bumping Pure Moods right now? Is that how you feeling today after the?
Yeah.
So we we had a back-to-back home and home with the New York Knicks, and in that first game, the good guys, it was a struggle. It looked kind of similar to what happened during the playoffs. It was a little bit
It
frustrating.
looked exactly like that. Yeah.
And some of the most frustrating things, and I don't, we don't have to touch on the frustration. Of course, availability. That's not something you can blame leadership or coaching staff for. It's just like, man, this is the way the cookie is crumbling right now. Like all these dudes are going to be hurt. Then right before the game,
Right.
Donovan's like, you know what? Nah, I'll play. And it was like, oh,
Right.
like, all right, Spider's going to be there. Donovan, let's go. It just didn't play out the way we wanted it to. Okay.
Right.
Turn around, catch a flight to the city, and the good guys literally restored our faith.
Mhm.
I was super frustrated with Mobley in that first game. He had 6 points, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. I think he may have got double-digit rebounds, but it didn't feel like it.
Right.
He was getting moved around pretty easily, and he wasn't putting up as much of a fight when it came to Mitchell Robinson or anybody else. The guys, the end of the game, Hartenstein's over there laughing on the bench, and I was just like, I wish whoever's there in person, Juice is loose or somebody, would just walk up and slap the shit out of him. For some reason, all of them, I don't like any of them, any of the Knicks. But for some reason, Hartenstein
they're a good rival. Very punchable.
Hartenstein has become a punchable face for me, even though he's the biggest one. Like I'll take that L for the team. You know what I'm saying? You can go work over Brunson or whoever, like Tibbs or something like that.
Super punchable face for Brunson.
Punch Hartenstein in the face.
You want to take in?
Yeah, I think if we all put together a RCF crew to go jump these dudes, I'll be the one to take Hartenstein on. I definitely think he can do the most damage of the Knicks. When I'm thinking,
Robinson looks like a guy who could definitely do some damage. You think he's a little mellow? You think he's a little too mellow to do it?
I think he's a punk.
Punk?
Yeah, I watched, and I'm not even trying to be like on some whatever, but I've seen him in enough series. I've seen him in enough matchups. Like, it was so frustrating in the last playoffs because I was like, wait, this guy is talking mess? It's different if you got like Al Horford saying stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tristan would punk him, but how Al Horford would punk most of the rest of the league. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you think so?
I mean, at one point in time, he's an old dude now. But like when we had those series against the Hawks and Anna Horford and all those people were getting involved, you were like,
yeah.
I mean, Al Horford is not a punk. You know what I'm saying? Like Al Horford can move bodies around and stuff.
He can.
But when it was a series with and then like the series against the Bulls back when Joakim Noah was trying to be the bad guy, like
Yep.
You didn't feel like he was tough, but you were just kind of
grew up rich, which it usually doesn't bode well for being a tough guy.
And French too. Like, isn't his mother like French or something like that? His name is Joe Kim. I'm not taking this.
They might both be
a guy named Joe Kim.
His dad was a French tennis player.
Whereas Tito Horford is over there, and he looks like he rip your head off right now. Tito Horford.
You know who looks crazy? He looks crazy is Julius Randle. He seems like he seems like he looks crazy. He looks like a crazy guy, but I don't know enough about him.
He does. I think since he cut his hair, he looks a little bit more sane.
He looks insane. He looks crazy. I think it's because he looks like Marlon Wayans from
Don't Be a Menace.
Yeah,
he's Loke Dog.
Doesn't he? Yeah, he looks like Loke Dog.
We have a problem.
Doesn't he? He looks like him.
I swear, good call. He does.
He looks like Loke Dog.
He looks just like Loke Dog.
He's got that look.
Do we have a problem? Man, why did you just bring that movie into my head? Message? Why did you just bring that movie into my head? Oh man,
I don't know.
We will not have
cheeseburgers, man. That movie, dude. Right. I'm sorry.
Rubber Rim Job. This is what happens.
I know.
When we bully the bully. You just brought Loke Dog up and called Julius Randle Loke Dog, and I won't be able to not see that for the rest of the episode.
He deserves it. He deserves it. He bothers me.
He looks like Loke Dog, and then
He roughed us up. He roughed us up in those last couple games. Is all.
No, he did. But Mitchell Robinson, his name is Mitchell. Like, I'm not running from a dude named Mitchell. So, yeah, no, I don't think he's tough.
We held him down though in that last game. Is all. I was talking about in the playoffs, but in this last game, the Cavs did a really, really good job on him. He got nothing.
The home game in Cleveland or this one in the Knicks?
Yeah. This last one in New York.
So that's a function of good old TT. Okay, like the moment he stepped on the court, and I don't want to keep belaboring it. He had like a singular focus, and this is why I love Tristan, because he actually looks harmless. Like, he's got these dimples. He's like he plays it up like, no, I'm just a good guy. I just don't leave your girl around me, but I'm not gonna harm anything. But then he gets on the court and he's so awkward that he harms everything. Like, just run up and down the court, he hurts people. And Mitchell Robinson wanted no parts once he got on the court. So I wish we had done that in the first game. And the reason why I've been advocating for even if you just start him just to set the tone at the very beginning, you know what I'm saying? Like, because early on, if you got a guy named Mitchell who's thinking that he's going to push us around and stuff, that first jump ball, that first tip, and the first couple of possessions, you turn it off really quickly. You know, like, there's certain guys who are bad hombres. Zach Randolph, PJ Tucker is a current bad hombre. Those kind of guys where they set the tone early. They're like, Pat Bev, I'll get a tech in the first 5 minutes of the game. So you know that I'm willing to get a tech. Like, I'm willing to go take a shower early if you try to even mess with my dude, Evan Mobley. That's what I get from him. So, no, totally encouraged, totally happy. What is our record? 2-4? What are we, Jig? 2-3?
2-4 sounds right. Yep.
We're 2-4. Inconsequential to me. You know why?
Oh, totally inconsequential. Yeah, no, I don't care about their record right now.
You know, like we said this.
Not giving guys that are out. No, you want to be healthy. No, you want to be healthy middle of the year into the end of the year.
It's been weird. Like, last night, I watched about 4 games last. I just totally lied. I watched about 6 games yesterday.
2 and 3.
Oh, okay. 2 and 3. All right. Who are we playing next? Because I feel like we may have just jinxed us.
Indiana, and remember I told you I thought they'd lose to Indiana. I just had a feeling they struggle with those guys.
Yeah, they just play a fast game, and then Carlisle wants them shooting as many threes as possible, which is what we had been giving up. I want you to speak real quick, if you don't mind. You mentioned that JBB flipped a switch on how he defended the 3-point line. Like, what did you see in that? Because I saw the same thing.
Well, first of all, it pleased me because it's not something that he'd been doing all year, and I think pretty much all of us were nervous about the fact that he was clogging the paint, and it had been a thing that they'd been doing forever. Remember, he had guys clapping for his entire.
Jared Allen was loving. Jared Allen absolutely loved that whole thing, and people in Philly were like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's happening?
He'd be like, everybody clapping whenever they got called for it. Yeah, and so he had guys getting out on them, and there was some times where they weren't rotating out the guys at the 3-point line. It was that was a little uncomfortable, but he had guys running Knicks off the 3-point line, and then once the Knicks saw that they weren't getting easy threes, it was clearly throwing them off, because I think they went into the game thinking they were going to get them. And they didn't. And that's very encouraging because, number one, because that's basketball now. Guys want to take a ton of threes. So when they don't, obviously they're generally not going to win games. But number two, because it's an adjustment.
Right.
And it's an adjustment that works. So hopefully it's something that he's going to stick with. And we have Indiana, Golden State, Oklahoma City, Golden State coming up right in a row. So, I mean, that's 4 teams right in a row that you're going to need that for.
We owe OKC.
Yeah, big time. Big time. They quit on Oklahoma City at the end of the game.
They did. Okay. Okay. All right. Good call. Good analysis. Good way to put on your basketball coach hat. Because I saw the same thing last night, and that's all we're asking for is we like see some of these incremental adjustments, you know? Like
Yeah.
don't do what didn't work in game 3, don't do it in game 4 or 5. Like don't have that same starting lineup. Don't have the same defensive philosophy. If the night before they just took advantage of that, adjust, you know?
Yes.
I'm bullish at times because when I have a vision for something, I'm like the only way I'm gonna actually see this through to fruition is if I stick with it. So I get it. But once you have enough data and you've seen this is not working over and over, be willing to try the other way, and that's what we saw last night. So
That's exactly. Yeah. I mean, sorry to go back in the past, but the thing that always drove, I think, all of us crazy about Mike Brown is that it always took at least one game, at least a game, to make an adjustment. And then even if he didn't even make the game an adjustment, or the adjustment a game later.
right.
Sometimes the whole season he wouldn't make the adjustment. And I think we were all nervous that we just had the guy that's, the big motivator that wasn't going to make adjustments. So I'm very pleased that this happened.
Dude, do you remember that lineup card, that little pink lineup card, Mike Brown? I wanted anybody. I think I may have drawn up a ransom note. Like if you get that lineup card from him right before a game starts, I'll get your tickets for the next game. Like just take it. I don't, because I feel like he wrote that thing up the night before, and he's like, whatever happens, I don't care. I'm sticking to this card. So
you just got to make some in-game adjustments. Just anything. Just try something. So anyways, I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased with that. That's all. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. All right. So there was some bright spots outside of Tristan beating up the entire city of New York. CPJ, Craig Porter Jr.,
good to see.
One of our summer league all-stars, right?
Yeah, good to see that. Good to see him coming in and making an impact right off the bat. Good to see. Go ahead.
Can I liken some of his returns to something or somebody?
Please do.
Do you guys remember in 2014, there was an undrafted rookie out of St. Mary's that Randolph popped into the board and was like, "Hey guys, we need to go grab this guy."
I remember this guy.
And as soon as the draft was over and we didn't have him, I mean, nobody drafted him, we signed him right away. Like he was signed before our own draft picks even put their hats on. This dude was signed. One Matthew Dellavedova.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they play the game differently, but freshman rookie Dellavedova was a defensive menace. You knew that he was going to hound whoever. You could put him on the floor and put him up against Steph Curry or whoever, which he ultimately did. He was going to hound them dudes and make them work. CPJ has that, but he has like more of a well-rounded both sides of the court. Like that dunk yesterday where I was like, wait a minute, this dude is actually, I don't want to jinx him. This dude is almost like a starting guard level of athleticism.
Yep.
Like you saw the block shots and stuff. You knew that he was doing that all through college. You see that he plays at his own pace. I said on the board, I was like, he's like the basketball baby of Andre Miller and I don't know who the hell else I said, but definitely he's got some Andre Miller to his game with how he plays at pace. He's like Delonte West and Andre Miller.
I was going to throw in Delonte. Yeah. I was going to throw in Delonte. I think the Delonte all-around game with that kind of stick-to-itiveness on defense.
But he's got even more settled on offense because Delonte could get rushed, you know? Like he was a defensive dog, but he lacked a little bit of the ball handling to really create. He knew how to play use his body because he was 6'2", but he had the arms of a 6'6" guard. And he just had a toughness where people were just like, I'm not messing with this dude. Except for when Bron dunked on him. You remember?
I do. I remember that dunk when Delonte was in. I want to say Jameer. I want to say somebody set up Delonte.
Yeah,
that was so bad.
That was so bad.
That was so bad, man.
He had two LeBron had two that year. He banged on Damon Jones for the Heat, and then he banged on Delonte.
I remember both of those.
And both times I was like, oh my goodness. But it didn't even phase the guy. So like Craig Porter Jr. has that kind of metal about him. because like Brunson, he took advantage of him on 2 different possessions. So CPJ actually took Brunson to the hole and laid it up. So then Brunson comes back and he draws an and one on him and he scores in his face. He like did a pump fake on the left wing. He went by him and then he waited for him to climb his back and then he got the layup. And you would think, oh, that rookie, now he's going to be embarrassed and he's going to feel like he's going to get taken out. No, CPJ went right back at him. And that's like,
I love that.
I was like, this
love
guy
that.
is different. You know what I'm saying?
That's what you want. That's what you want.
And I'm not trying to, like I said this yesterday on the board and people were like, oh, chill out. He's undrafted, all this kind of stuff. It's different, man. He's like the same age as Darius Garland. Like this ain't a baby, Like this ain't, this guy is here to play. He feels like he belongs. You can see that he feels like he belongs. Yep. And I truly want to commend Kobe for God damn it.
Right down.
I want to commend Kobe Altman for found money. Because if you you got to snatch a couple of these undrafted guys and actually,
that's what the good teams do.
That's
what the Warriors have been doing for years.
I brought up an example yesterday on the board of Gary Neal with the Spurs. He was more of a scorer than a defender, but there's a little bit of, like when the Spurs were really rolling and clicking, they would find dudes like Ime Udoka, Gary
Mavs
Neal.
did that a few times too.
Oh yeah, they totally did. And you'd be like, "Where'd that guy
Marquise Daniels, Josh Howard?"
Man, I remember Marquise Daniels. Didn't he like break something on the court? Is he all right? Like, is he like break his neck?
I don't remember that. Oh God, I don't remember him doing that. Did he? Maybe.
Pretty sure he landed on his head. I want to say he was either playing for the Pacers or the Mavericks at the time, and I was like, "Oh no!" Like,
maybe
he's a weird looking guy.
Very weird looking guy.
Very weird, kind of like Tyrone Hill or something like that, a little bit in the face.
Ooh, Ty Hill.
Yeah. But good call.
Popeye Jones was the other one. But no, for sure.
Guy.
For sure.
Yeah, no, good call. Because there's been guys, whenever organizations have it rolling, and
they pick those guys up and they fit them right in.
Exactly. So shout out to Kobe for that. Any other bright spots that you're like, yo, from that Knicks series, we got to touch on that guy.
I want to throw some. I want to talk a little bit about Mobley. I want to just talk about Mobley a little bit because his performance has been uneven.
Okay.
Here's what's going on with Mobley. Okay.
What do you got?
Here's what I got. Chet Holmgren is an absolute monster. He is a monster. He is going to be so good. When we watched him against us, I watched a player that is going to be so, if he stays healthy, he's going to be so great. He's going to be, I think, just an all-around incredible player. We had no chance of getting him, obviously, but he's like the ultimate like unicorn guy. I don't think we have any reason to believe that Wemby won't, but just Holmgren was just so fun to watch, right? I had the feeling that both of those guys were going to come into the league and from like a marketing psychological standpoint, drop Mobley's stock in our eyes pretty significantly. I had the feeling that would happen. Here's the deal. Expectations were so high for Mobley for everybody because you had these greats talking about how great Mobley was going to be. I think Kareem was one of the guys I think that was talking about him. I can't remember if it was Kareem or somebody else.
Sure.
It was a great. Maybe it was Bill Russell or somebody. Regardless, a lot of guys were saying that he was going to be great. Right?
1 second. I'm sorry. I don't want this to get. I'm sure it's going to get picked up.
Go ahead.
Stop.
Spark.
Yeah, got to be a part of the show.
That's okay. So I just had a feeling this was going to happen. If there weren't those expectations on Mobley, you'd see a guy that came in his second year and he's putting up like almost 17, 10, a couple blocks, and he's having these games where his performance is a little bit uneven, but they're still amazing, right? He's still an amazing player. He's just growing, okay? Some of these games that he plays are really, really good. I mean, he's still projecting to be a very, very good player, but he's playing with Donovan, okay, who's a fantastic player, okay? I just think we're looking at a guy who's just going to take, he's going to take time, man. I think he's going to take longer than he
Okay.
would have
Okay.
if we didn't have a great player next to him. I think he's got to make more moves like the scoop George Gervin shot like that we've seen a couple times out of him. He nailed one of those once, and then he did it a second time where it was move, counter move, scoop shot. He missed it. It's a beautiful move.
Right.
People are bitching about him not being super physical down low. I just don't think that's his game. I don't think that's his game.
Thank you
He's
for
got to
saying
sort of compartmentalize this game. He's got to figure out what his game. He's got to figure out exactly what it is, find that niche, and stick with it. But I don't think it's this super physical Charles Oakley game. I don't think that's what it is. And I think once he finds it, he's going to groove. And then we're all going to say, there it is.
There it is. Okay.
That's our guy. And then once it happens, it's going to happen.
But
I think these external things that are going on that's making him look like not the guy who we thought he was going to be. That's all. I really do.
All right. Because I was about to say, here is where we're gonna have our first rubber rib job, fisticuff. You know,
Good.
I was gonna challenge you to a duel if you went.
Good.
So, and I don't want to bastardize. Shout out to Rich because I know he's shown that he listens and he's actually contributing to the comment stuff. Thank you for that, Rich.
Yeah, we need more of that.
So there's a growing sentiment on the board, and he's one of the voices that I see typing this out pretty consistently. That is saying what you said, but actually saying he's just not going to be that guy. You know, like it's not about weight and give him, you know, the expectations got sped up, and I think he can still click. And I have a problem with that. So that I would have challenged you to fight if that was where you went.
Oh, no.
You went the way that I go. And here's my thing with Mobley. I agree with you 100%, and I agree with the Kareems and all those guys. What I liken what Mobley is going through too is the exact same thing Darius Garland was doing his second year and the beginning of his third year before Colin went down. Because even though he was sharing the floor with Colin Sexton, he was playing out of position because Colin Sexton had more of a alpha approach to the game. So Garland was like letting him take the lead. And it was frustrating the hell out of me because I was like, no, he doesn't see the floor the way you do. He doesn't approach the game. Like you can make the game easier for him if you don't let him just take it and stuff. And ultimately it came true, right? Like as soon as we took Colin off the floor and put Okoro next to him, it was like, oh, this team is taking off. And, you know, credit some of that to Rubio, of course. Garland was already that. Like his mind and the way he approached the game, naturally he was that. Evan Mobley naturally is a unicorn, not the offensive kind of unicorn. Because let me say something about Chet real quick, and I'm not throwing water on that.
Or do whatever you got. I'm good.
No, it's all good. I was going back and forth with Damage on that first season because he was pretty adamant about him, and I was like, not just because of his health, but also there's some things to his approach to the game. He's fun. He's cool. I'm not saying he's not going to be good, and I'm not saying he's not going to be great. I watched probably about 4 or 5 Gonzaga games that year. I watched him very early on. Then I watched him late. Then I watched him in a tournament in the game against, I think they played North Carolina. I don't remember who they were playing. They didn't play North Carolina. But I remember watching them late. And he was avoiding contact. Like he was you know what I'm saying? Like even though they had Drew Timme, who was the main post player, Holmgren was like, he was doing kind of like what we're accusing Mobley of doing right now at this level. And it was like, I was like, wait, so if at that level you're doing it, when we get to the pros, you know what I'm saying? Like there's an approach to his game that I feel like if he's being counted on to be like the best player on your team, you're not going far. But if he's like the third guy, or like right now he is the third guy for OKC, right? You probably got SGA, then you got Giddey, then him. That works. He can be great as that. With Mobley, I still think he can get to be that number one guy. Like, and I'm not like, it's not like, oh, I'm just delusional. What I think is happening right now is sort of similar to what Garland was doing. He's overthinking the game because he's out of position. And he's also
Yes.
overthinking the game because he's trying to better complement the guys around him.
Yes, I
Let
agree.
me tell you what, we didn't do him any favors by acquiring Donovan Mitchell.
Correct.
Not just on timeline for expectation. Firstly, on timeline for expectation. Because at the end of his rookie year, we're like, all right, it's go time. You're a contender. Here's this guy. Go. Like, be Kevin Garnett, be Chris Bosh at year 8. Because Chris Bosh wasn't Chris Bosh until, year 4 or 5. He was like, all right, I want to try to carry this team. But when he actually got to Miami, he was like, all right, I know how to help win now,
Correct. Yes.
Mobley already like Chris Bosh's year 7 or 8. Mobley is that right now. And I think people are like, okay, well, let's simplify it. Rich is talking about his offensive moves and things like that. And I'm like, no, that's not his approach to the game. Like, have you ever seen any tape of like Bill Russell jig? Oh, did I lose you? You there?
I'm back.
Did you ever see any tape of Bill Russell?
I have watched him.
And there's been a couple of guys who look something like that, like on a very small scale. Marcus Camby had a little bit of that. He could be the best defensive player on the floor and the most impactful player as the sixth man.
Very basic offensive game,
but very basic offensive game. But you still, like, on their way to the finals in '99, if they didn't have Marcus Camby, like Marcus Camby was the best big man on that Knicks team. Like, yeah, they started Ewing. Yeah, they ran a lot of things through Kurt Thomas and Larry Johnson and all those guys. Mm-hmm. Marcus Camby was the dude. Now, I'm not saying that's what Evan Mobley's going to be. I think Evan Mobley is way better than that already. Like, what we have to do, and where we didn't do him any justice, is he still needs the time to sort out his offensive attack.
Yes, I agree.
I think he needs to be the second guy on offense. Like, you need to force feed him. You need to run the offense through him. It doesn't need to be Darius, then Donovan, and then Evan. It needs to be Darius, Evan, and then, second guard or wing. That's how that hierarchy needs to be, because he's the guy that has untapped potential. Like, we know what we're getting from Donovan Mitchell. We know what trajectory Darius is on. We need to run the offense through Mobley so we can start tapping into his passing as a big guy is on par with like a Brad Dort.
Yes, it's improved. Yeah.
But when it comes to his offensive moves to attack guys, we're still like, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing here? Like, don't fumble, bumble, all that kind of stuff. Like, let's go kind of thing. We said the same thing about Darius Garland, his second year. I can't stress it enough. I think what did he average, like 14 points, maybe like 5 assists, 3 turnovers or so. And there were too many games where you're just like, when it's winning time. And once again, the same voice. And I'm sorry, Rich, I'm not beating you up. But Rich was that voice saying that a lot. I just don't see it with this guy. Like, we got to get rid of him and let Colin, because Colin has that aggressive and that tenacity and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Mobley, maybe this year, and I'm hoping that it happens this year. But I definitely think there has to be a schematic commitment to running the offense through him, because he's so bright. He's so aware. You watching him, like, not as a center, because he's out of position right now. So a lot of his strengths are negated. But you're watching him when he's next to Tristan, or he's next to Jared Allen or whoever else. He sees the game quicker as a weak side defensive guy. He sees the game the way Bill Russell saw it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
On offense, Bill Russell was the hub of their offense. Like, he was making that thing go in the videos I've seen. Like, it was all high pick and roll, but most of it was him, shuffle passing to these plumbers and stuff that were up there for the Celtics.
Mario and Luigi.
Give him a little bit of time. I'll shut up and summarize it all by saying I agree with you 100%. I think the offensive stuff comes as he feels more and more dominant and impactful as a weak side defender. You clear the deck in regard to him. Darius Garland would still be letting Colin Sexton cook primarily if Colin Sexton was still in the backcourt with him.
Right.
Mobley is going to let Donovan Mitchell cook and go off and do everything he's supposed to do. And then he's going to let Darius Garland set the table and do everything he's supposed to do. Unless he's that guy, unless he's the second guy after Garland that the ball is being forced to run through. Okay?
I agree.
And you, hell, make him the first guy and let Garland play off of that. I don't care. Like, for this season right here, make him the primary guy. He should touch the ball 60, 70, 80% of the time. And then Donovan and Darius play off of him. I don't care. But it'll come with his confidence and his you just seen those games, like that game against the Bucks where he knew he was cooking Brook Lopez.
That was my favorite game of his all year. All of last year.
As soon as Bobby Portis checked in, Mobley was like, "What you want, Bobby?" You know, like he had a different thing of me. He was like, "Wait a second."
Yep.
That wasn't by chance. Did both of our guards play in that game against Milwaukee?
No, one of them was out. I want to say that it was when Donovan was out.
I don't even have the stat sheet in front of me, but I'm just asking.
I want to say that was it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't totally. Somebody on the board's gonna look it up, and I'm totally be wrong.
Oh, I'm looking it up right now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It feels like that was the case. Or if you look at that stat sheet, I bet you one of those guards either were in foul trouble. They didn't have
somebody was out for the ball.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, if he's the number 2 guy last year and beginning of this year, we're seeing a totally different Evan Mobley right now. As it is, we need to schematically make the ball run through him, and we need to schematically not make him the last line of defense in order for his confidence to build so he's willing. Because when the season started, did you see him like putting the ball like he was like in the open court in that first game? He was dropping people off. I was like, wait a minute, is this dude about to run point? You know, like there was like 3 or 4 breaks where you were like, okay, the emphasis is on getting shots up fast, but the emphasis is on this dude putting the ball on the floor and creating an open court. We haven't seen it since then, but I want us to go back to that because, and part of the reason why we haven't seen it, Jig, is probably because Garland's been out since that first game,
Right. It's affecting the way they play. Absolutely.
Yeah. So all of that to say, don't give up on Evan Mobley. Do not subscribe to the whole, he's not what we thought he was. What if he's not the guy? Don't let that seep in. Okay. The same way Luke was like, dude, we're going to hit this shot. I'm calling my shot on Evan Mobley, just like I called my shot on Darius Garland. He's going to break through. He's a unicorn. He's going to impact games and be a winning type of guy, more like a Bill Russell off as a weak side defender, but an offensive hub, more than he's going to be like Shaq or Tim Duncan or whatever like that. But he's going to be it. Give him a chance. Let him grow. So, and there are things that we can do and we need to do. And that's not me saying JBB is wrong or that Kobe is stupid or any of those things. I'm just saying there's things that we can do that can ensure that he reaches that potential without compromising, us getting to the playoffs and continuing to grow. So,
yes, I agree. I agree with that 100%.
Is he going to offensively be Chet? No, he won't be that.
No, it's a different game. Chet shoots threes. I mean, he's been lighting it up this year from 3. Donovan was out that game, and I distinctly remember that because that's why he was getting the ball so much because Garland was feeding him.
Good call. How many assists did Garland have that game?
Let's take a look.
I know he did a lot on the second chance boards. I know Mobley was just dominating them, honestly.
Garland had 10 assists that game.
Turnovers.
And if you recall, Mobley was being guarded by Brook Lopez, and he was all over Brook.
Brook
had a terrible game.
He was eating his ass up.
He was eating him alive.
That was a defensive player of the year finalist that year. Brook Lopez.
He was all over Brook. All over Brook.
Yeah. So honestly, I hate coming off like, oh, I know this, Mirror Rich. I had a fun back and forth with him yesterday. Shout out to Mirror Rich. He was the main guy that was going back and forth with me about the CPJ starting to keep the roles where they were. And I like that guy. We had a fallout about a year ago where I was getting ready. I was literally looking for his address so I could like run up on him, pay him a visit. And we jumped in each other's inbox and was like, sorry, bro. But
Got to have those every once in a while.
every once in a while. He said something yesterday. He was like, man, you always writing these theses. I can get that way. You know what I'm saying? Like when I get passionate, you know, like
Absolutely.
You know. And so Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, those are two dudes that I'm passionate about. When you're formulating something, like when you're raising Luke and you're raising your little lady, and you are aware that every engagement with them or how you react to them, if you snap on them, if you're short with them, all of that can affect their disposition and how they view themselves, all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Same thing goes for these players, man. Like as a 19-year-old, this dude didn't have his driver's license. He couldn't drink. Now he's drinking and stuff. But he's like, he's not a man. He's like, well, I don't know what I want to be in this league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to be a punk or if I want to, you know what I'm saying, man up and do this and do that.
Yep.
It's very imperative that we set the tone for him to grow. And we've done some things that are counterproductive for that. One of those being speeding up his expectation timeline. Another being capping his offensive ceiling by making him that. So there's some work that we've got to do to make sure we correct that. That's that for me, Jig. I'm gonna say this. Please don't take it extreme. Rubber rim job and RCF guys. I'd be willing to be a play-in team this year if it meant Evan Mobley was our primary offensive creator.
I'm with that.
Okay,
I'm
literally willing to go 41 and 41 if because that honestly, if you're in the East, Miami just showed us. If you're in, you're in.
So if we had that record, that would probably mean Donovan had some time out, and Mobley spent some time as the number 2 guy. Is that what you're saying?
I don't care if Donovan catch a case and we got to wait for him to get bailed out halfway through the season. What was that? Who was that dude that caught a case in LA and he had to get a work permit to fly? Was it KCP? I think.
Is that who it was?
I think so.
Oh, I don't think I knew about that.
Wouldn't that suck? Like, okay, if
of
one of us get like a DUI or something like that, we can just sweep it under the rug. As a pro player, if you catch a case and you
humiliating, you'd be getting made fun of all the time.
Oh, man. Like soon as you
I want to talk about a guy.
Sorry, and we'll use this and then we'll transition and get off of here.
That's okay. I want to talk about Isaac Okoro a little bit. I want to talk about this guy. I'm going to tell you, it's early, but thus far, you were right about this guy.
Thank you. I'm going to give the credit over when you pass me the mic.
Okay, that's fine. If you want to pass this one off, then we're going to do we're going to do a rotation. Okay. So here's what's telling me that this guy's feeling confident. Yeah. One play. There's one play I watched. Was it his last game or was it another game? It's a play that we've not just seen once. We've seen it a lot of times. He's on the break, and man, he takes it in, and he does a ball fake and lays it in
like a Euro.
Yes, sir. And he gets it in there with contact. Yeah. That's a man's play right there. You got somebody behind you. You're taking that contact and you still get it in. That's a man's play. That's an NBA play right there. That's a veteran's play. That is a guy who's got some confidence. A lot of the time you'll see guys miss that layup. We've seen Strus do it a couple. You see a lot of guys miss that layup.
Right.
A lot of guys miss that layup. That is the LeBron special right there. He's using his body. He's using his brain.
Right.
He's using his right there. All right. So
what was it? What's his name on Major League? Serrano?
Tanaka.
Tanaka. That's right.
Tanaka. So that's my Guardians. My Guardians hat right there.
Guards.
So I am very pleased with that play right there. I like the corner threes. Okay. I like that he's getting to the hoop, but on the break, man, getting that in with the double pump. I've seen that a couple times now out of him. If he can get that down, and that's like a consistent thing out of him, running the break and getting it in by himself. Woo! Because that's not just that play.
Yeah.
That's coming out of ISO too. because that's a guy that's finally using that big body of
God.
his.
It's so
That's the one
crazy.
thing we hadn't seen out of him. It's like, dude, you are a fire plug.
You are a tank.
Why are you not using that? You are a tank, man. Why are we not seeing you use that? Like, why are we just doing the corner 3-pointer? Why is that all we're getting at you? Why are we not seeing you use that?
Yes,
and
sir.
now we are. I'm loving that out of Isaac Okoro.
So
and if we can continue to see that out of that man,
right,
then I think we got a guy who's coming into his own.
I'm fully bought in.
That's
just this morning, Chi-Town Chicago Cavs fan, he shared my exact sentiment, and that was, even if I wavered, I'm all the way back in. Like, I'm actually excited about this kid.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it now. I'm always a little hesitant, but I'm feeling it. I like that double clutch
where it's due. Okay, so I was being your Isaac Okoro whisperer. My Isaac Okoro whisperer is 2 for the brew. Okay, like,
oh yeah, he is.
Since his rookie year, 2 for the brew has been on Okoro Island, and so we gotta.
That's right.
Out to Booby, 3-ball.
We gotta give Brew his props. And I'm talking about, it wasn't just on the board where he was consistently like, it's gonna be all right, it's gonna work out. Give this kid a chance, stick with it. I don't know if I sound like Brew or not, but I'm trying to. But then he'd also jump in my inbox every once in a while and be like, our boy, here he comes. I'm telling you, like,
Does he?
Just recently, I want to say a day or two ago, he was like, here they come. Like, they're about to change their hearts and minds. Here come those Okoro wanderers.
I'm coming.
So he looks like prime Bobby Fields, which is what I was like,
yeah.
Because you remember Fields, his first job was to get to the rim. Like, he didn't hang around the perimeter, like those teams didn't shoot threes anyway. He was like going straight to the rack. And
there's only so many linebackers in the NBA.
And that body is crazy. And so that pause, because I didn't like, but yes, that body is crazy. I don't know if
I didn't catch it. Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's true.
That he needed that one move to unlock his confidence everywhere else. And this is what I'm talking about with Mobley. And once he got one thing that he could stand on, the rest of it's coming. Yes, we're playing a faster speed, but he got that Euro where he's doing that every time. And he's like, yesterday he went through Jalen Brunson's chest. Like, right now, Jalen Brunson is in New York with a size 14 Nike.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. That's what you want.
He's waking up today.
You want him going to the guy's chest. When you make that play and you can get into the play, that's it. When you can go into the guy's chest, he's done that a few times too. When you can do that and you're the bigger player, that's the move, man.
So what does that do mentally for a player? What happens is it feels like you just learned how to dribble the ball. Like, once you got something that you know that you can do, it's like, wait a minute. Oh, I'm allowed to dribble, and I can dribble. Now I can get anywhere I want to on the court. Same thing for him. Like, his jumpers look more confident. He didn't hit one yesterday, I don't think. But
no, he didn't have a big offensive game yesterday.
But his jumpers look more comfortable as a result. He knows if the ball finds me, he's not afraid for the ball to find him.
No.
If the ball finds me, I got a green light to go straight to the rim. I don't care if Shaq is under there. I'm going through Shaq's chest. I like seeing that from Isaac Okoro. Like, we can count on that, So, good call. I didn't mean to.
There's only so many guys. There's only so many guys in the NBA that can do that. That's the thing, and that's why I want him to see that. Like, that's it, because that's all about your body and your leverage, right?
Second year, his freshman year, his rookie year, he didn't take any threes. He didn't shoot a lot. He didn't want the ball to find him. If the ball found him in Tibbs' system up in Chicago, he got rid of it and he went to go guard somebody. All he was a ball mover his rookie year. His second year, he started going to the basket. And as he started finding success with it, then he started saying, I hope that ball finds me. And second year, Jimmy Butler is probably the same age as Isaac Okoro right now. Okay. So, like, I'm not, I'm literally saying, because Jimmy Butler went the JUCO route, then he had spent an extra year in Marquette, if I'm not mistaken. Then he was maybe 23 or so as a rookie. So 22, then 23, his second year. So him and Isaac Okoro are like this.
Yeah.
And it's a very good possibility you're seeing Jimmy Butler Jr. break out. right now.
Well, Jimmy loves that mid-range shot. Right now, that is a no man's land for Isaac, which
Oh,
bums me out because you see him just getting to the hoop, or it's just a no man's land.
right.
I mean, if he picked that up,
I
all
don't
of a
think he
sudden
had
he's
it. I don't think he had it in that first 2 years because I'm
did he not?
I'm talking about his.
There's only so many guys that have a mid-range shot nowadays.
Yeah.
That's a no man's land for almost everybody.
Yep.
If he were to pick that up, all of a sudden he's a whole different player.
Game
But
over.
yeah, no, I mean, if we were to see him do that, then I mean, now we're talking
Good call, man.
different guy.
Good call.
Different guy. I mean, if he were to pick up a floater, whoa. But I don't think he's even practicing that. I don't think they even have him practicing a floater.
So
Can I talk about? Can I talk? Do you remember when Booby must have started practice? I don't know if Keisha Cole recommended this or if he was like practicing with Keisha or what was going on. But it midway through his career, well, actually towards the end, he decided that he was going to start practicing a floater, and he would use it in game. And it was one of the worst, least effective shots I've ever seen from any Cavalier ever.
I went to a couple of games that year. I know exactly what season you're talking about. It was the year we got Shaq. It was the 2009 2010 season.
Okay.
Because you know why I remember that? Because they tried to start. They wanted to play Booby. They wanted to like play him consistently. They wanted him.
They wanted to feature him.
They wanted to feature him, and because
Right.
Delonte started going off the reservation a little bit more. He
Correct.
wasn't as people knew that things weren't stable.
Right.
And I remember that. I know exactly what you're talking about because as soon as he came in the game, he was doing that. And I was like, no, go back to shooting those threes. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't put the ball on the floor. We know you can't dribble. Just shoot.
It was such a weird shot. So he would throw that thing up there. And I mean, he might as well have been throwing like a paper plate up at the basket.
I was at a game. You can look this up, Jig.
Okay.
I was at the only game that the Warriors came. This is terrible Warrior team. Not terrible.
Okay.
I think they were on the backside of the whole "We Believe" thing. So it was 2009. They had lost most of those guys. They still had Baron Davis but I think he was not dressed that day. And so I'm sitting up in the nosebleeds. My friend from Kent, shout out to Chris Rutson. He's a friend who's probably not on the board, but he may watch this someday. He actually got me tickets. Me and my wife at the time, and we're at this game, and we see Shaq, we see Bron. I think Mo Williams might have been injured. Mo Williams might have been playing the game. I'm not sure. But in comes Booby with that damn floater that just wasn't, and that we lost the game because of that. The Warriors came to Cleveland. We lost that game, and I was so frustrated with Booby because he kept trying it. I was like, is this going to be Larry Hughes all over again? Why
Bro, like, what are you doing with this floater?
Stop. Just go shoot the threes.
So I bring that up because I was getting shades of Booby when the minivan kept throwing up his floater, and it was banging off of the front of that rim like
and he
nobody's
kept a dead
business.
Bird up there. It was a dead bird every time he put it up there. It was like that thing won't fly. No matter how many times you throw it, it's a stuffed bird. It will not start flying.
I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I wanted to fly out there and see if I could make it before the end of the game and see if I could just start shooting half court shots because that's a more efficient shot than what he's doing. Yeah, I was like, since when was this a shot that you were? I tell my kids, I say, listen, I say, this is my team. I don't want to get too far into how we're doing this season, but I just, I want to throw this in here. I say, you can take any shot that you make in practice. I don't care what it is, but if you practice it and you make it, I want you to take it during the game. If he is taking that shot in practice, I got problems.
I got to see this.
Number one, it's not very effective practice. All right. Number two, I want you to stop practicing that shot and go back to taking threes.
Is anybody in practice telling him not to take it? Because it definitely does not elicit.
Fire the shooting coach,
man.
Fire your personal shooting coach, man. So that's it. He had 10 rebounds. I mean, they're probably all.
Totally. Shots. We were waiting for him to show his impact because
he had an effective game.
That was an effective game. He teamed up with TT yesterday.
He did. He had a good.
In
He had.
order
I
to
think
set the tone.
I think he got the. Didn't he get the? What's it called?
The chain.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I definitely, for my money, I think Tristan only played like 15 minutes. His impact was felt immensely. I would have made sure
Yeah. Big time.
he would have got a chain. So okay, let me do this because we're at like 115.
I know. I'm running this thing
Oh
over.
no, it's all good. So I'm actually going to punt on my album recommendation, but I'm not going to punt on it. I'm actually going to convert my album recommendation time. Because I mean, how do you follow up? How do you follow up on Pure Moods? You can't. Like that's out the park. I'm just going to bunt.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
For mine, I want to give a shout out, and I want to put a little bit of press time into a guy who impact felt around the world from our little neck of the woods. Yesterday, we lost Bobby Knight and the General. I mean, all you guys know him. If you're younger on the board and you're like, oh, I didn't actually see him. Like when I came along, he was coaching Texas Tech or something like that. This guy's from a small town called Orrville up there in Northeast Ohio, halfway between Akron and Worcester. I think he was born in the 30s or so, but he's like, a farm boy who put a peach basket on his barn and taught himself the game. Went off to the service. Went to Ohio State first. Played at Ohio State. I think he won a national championship at Ohio State.
Did he?
He was a head coach at a very young age. I think 24 years old. He was the head coach of Army, and one of the guys who played for him and then became his first assistant was Mike Krzyzewski. So
was he?
Yeah, Coach K was his. I think Coach K played for him at Army.
I did not know that.
Became an assistant coach under him. But then Bobby Knight takes the job at Indiana, which is, for him being an Ohio dude, it's right next door. It's 3-4 hours away, right across from Columbus. And he took a terrible program. And the only reason why I know this is because my recommendation is A Season on the Brink.
Okay.
It's a book. Have you ever read Season on the Brink?
I have not read Season on the Brink, but I read Steve Alford's book about his.
I swear to God, I read the same book. Yep.
You read Steve Alford's book?
I did. Yeah.
He talked.
I'm a junkie. I'm looking.
What was that book called?
Steve Alford's book over here.
What was Steve Alford's book called?
I totally read Steve Alford's book.
It's a great book, but he talked about Season on the Brink in there. It was really interesting hearing that their experience playing Jordan.
Yeah.
And all those, like the Michigan teams and Dinner Bell Mel and all those guys from the inside. Yeah.
And so in this
good book.
Yeah, it was at Haberstraw and Season on the Brink. I read it twice. I listened to it once. It's on Audible. If you don't feel like turning pages, like listen to it. It's a really good listen as well. But it covers his history, how he started off and everything. And then it also covers literally just that season. Like he had unfettered access. He heard every cuss word. He saw every engagement. He saw Bobby Knight's, the way he his philanthropic side of him, because like when the ball stopped bouncing and the lights were off, he treated every one of his players. I don't care when you played for him, how long you played for him, as long as you made it through the year, he treated you like a son. And so, national championship at Indiana, we know he had his, eventually he went off the reservation and really kind of bubbled over to where he was, threw a chair, threatened a kid. I can't remember the kid's name, Luke something or whatever. He transferred to Arizona, but Bobby Knight supposedly, yoked him up and stuff. Wrecker. Yep.
Wrecker.
So in that regard, he's got a little Woody Hayes to him that, we're all flawed, but this dude did some great things and he invested in some dudes, right? Like I'm talking about when I'm saying invested in dudes, his coaching tree and his player tree is immense. Like there's like Bobby Knight might have influenced or impacted Greg Popovich. He literally might have raised the greatest.
Popovich was Army too, wasn't he?
He was. That's why I'm saying I know for a fact Pop probably learned from him because the dude everywhere he went, like while he was in Army,
Pop's my favorite.
Yeah,
Pop's my all-time favorite.
So, but I want to give this dude a shout out, and my album recommendation is a book. It's Season on the Brink, I think by Tom Haberstraw. jump into it. Even, Hoosiers, they're not a threat to the Buckeyes, not a threat to your Wolverines. You can listen to this and not feel something.
Wolverines.
I'm going to say that every time now because you keep throwing them in my face.
I haven't watched a Wolverines game since I was a kid. I just like those baggy shorts.
No, you stick with them.
I just like the Fab Five.
You keep bringing them to this podcast. They're your team now.
I keep bringing them in.
Now you got to deal with this whole scandal that's going on up there.
Shit, I watched the football teams too back then. I really did like Michigan.
Wolverine at heart. So throughout the course of the book, it follows how the season started, how he had to, break down the team and build them back up, and how they eventually captured that national championship. So
I dig it.
Rest in peace to Bobby Knight, a guy from our neck of the woods who impacted the entire world. It's pretty cool. So let's close this. BI
Good recommendation. Let's close it up.
Yep. We got who was our next guys? I didn't mean to put you on the spot. You said Indiana.
We got in some order OKC. Indiana, OKC, and Golden State. Yeah.
Ain't that crazy? Like I got a Rain Man brain, Jig.
You do. Oh, you definitely do.
I don't want to see my own props, but like I'm right now I'm reading this LeBron book. I'm a cheat. I'm gonna give a second recommendation real quick because this is the book I'm actually reading right now. It is called LeBron, and it's written by Jeff Benedict. So Jeff Benedict and Chris Jackson. So I'm giving two. Since I didn't give an album, I'm giving two. And I'm halfway through this thing. It's like a 30-hour book. Like it's intense, right? And they're covering a lot. They're going all the way back to his roots. They covered his upbringing. They covered Eddie Jackson and all these guys and stuff. And it's a pretty good book.
We could turn this into just a recommendation thing.
Yeah. I mean, we're covering. Dude, there was no way I was about to overcome pure moods. I'm pressing play on that as soon as we end this episode. I'm not joking.
I like it. I dig it.
So OKC, Golden State, Indiana. We're 2-3. Depending on what we do health wise, Donovan's back in the fold. I think Darius is still day to day. Jared Allen, I think, is practicing. Darius Garland is not yet. So, I think Damage on the board said if we can make it through this November gauntlet at 500,
it is a gauntlet. Jesus,
he'd be happy. I second what he said. If we can make it through this gauntlet of November, relatively close to 500 or right at 500, I'm a happy guy. Man,
yeah, wow.
So
wow, yeah.
What
do you got for W's and L's?
Oh, sorry. No, it's all good. So we're 2-3 in these next three. I got us extracting some revenge and winning against Indiana.
Me too.
I got us taking an L against Golden State. They're clicking.
Me too.
They just got Draymond back, and Steve Kerr is staggering the two of them between Draymond and Chris Paul. Stick Boltman on the board. He brought this to my attention, and I was like, dude, you're right. Like, they've always got a point guard on the floor right now that plays like Draymond, and that's where they were missing. So I think Golden State's going to win. And then the OKC game, we owe them. So I guess we'll be 4-4.
I agree.
I say 4-4 after this next three games.
I like it.
Cool.
I dig it.
Season 3, episode 4. I think I'm gonna title this one, Jig. You tell me if I'm wrong here. Tristan THUMPson or Tristan something to do with like
work off the Tristan name.
Yeah, the way he just brought the wood. So signing off. Let's get these games in. Let's try not to kill everybody on the board. Let Booby come in and set things on fire. He puts the fire out first thing in the morning. He just lets it smolder. He's okay. Let Boobs do his thing.
Be all right.
We'll be all right.
Be all right.
We're good.
This is
signing off, Pimps.
Have a good night, everybody.
That was pretty dope.
That was a good one. I like that.